It's a double chin strap week.
Founder of the DBU, Johnathan Joseph. What's up, brother?
I just wanted to set a standard, and I didn't think it would take off the way it did. I'm a top money guy. I'm the guy on the defensive side that's supposed to lead the secondary. Thank God that same year they drafted J.J. Watt.
You made everybody around you better.
When I was there, we went on to beat Florida. We won some big games under Steve Spurrier's first year.
As they say, poo-poo happens sometimes,
That was a rude awakening. The greatest achievement for me personally is Stephon Gilmore winning Defensive Player of the Year. Being a Gamecock, I'm a proud Gamecock.
Tailgate Talks is proudly presented by our title sponsor, Green's Beverages, South Carolina's go-to spot for all things beer, wine, and spirits. This episode is brought to you by the High Rise Beverage Co., real fruit-infused THC and CBD seltzers with zero artificial flavors or colors. Born in South Carolina, High Rise is here to help you elevate every moment, from the tailgate to game day. Sip smart, sip local. Buy High Rise Beverage Co. at your nearest Green store today. All right, Gamecock fans, this season we're raising a glass to bold flavors and even bolder conversations. Tailgate Talks is fueled by Bullet Bourbon, the official bourbon of backyard grills, pregame huddles, and postgame victory toast. Whether you're sipping it neat or mixing up Gamecock-style old-fashioned, Bullet's smooth finish keeps the tailgate vibes rolling. So pour one, press play, and let's talk some football. Bullet Bourbon, Frontier Whiskey for Gamecock Nation.
All right, what's up, tailgaters? We're here on a solo mission tonight. Had a really cool guest this week. Not the initial DBU guy, but definitely one of them. So Johnathan Joseph, we had on 15-year NFL vet, Gamecock great. Transferred in, kind of made immediate impact, ended up going in the first round, and 15 years in the NFL. As broken as I am after 10, God knows how much pain he's in every morning when he wakes up. But a really cool episode. This is for all you 40 and 50-year-old men out there that are aspiring DBs out there, definitely tune in. If you want to be a defensive coordinator, tune in. If you're being real now, if you're a high school, middle school, even a college defensive back, this is an episode you need to listen to. The film study that Johnathan Joseph went through week in, week out to be able to play at that level for as long as he did was pretty remarkable. And something that he takes great pride in. He's eventually going to be a football coach somewhere. Hopefully it's back here in Columbia. He's just an impact guy, and he's going to change lives when he gets into the coaching world. But I think some of the cooler stuff he talked about was some of his favorite matchups in college and then in the NFL. So a lot of really cool stories, a lot of detail to those for a guy who's played quite as long as he did. Pretty cool stuff is I predicted it last week. The Gamecock staff is set in stone. So Kendall Briles was officially announced OC. From TCU, he brings along his offensive line coach, Randy Clements, and then Stan Drayton from Penn State. So really excited about this group. This is a group that has a lot of experience, obviously has good recruiting background, X's and O's background. Kendall and Randy worked together for several years prior, so good history. And I think what it comes down to is kind of building that culture and building the standard that was not met this past year, going 4-8. So I think this is an opportunity in an off season for the Gamecocks to really revamp. Our girls basketball team is still absolutely killing it. Our men currently are losing to the men from the upstate. So hopefully we can rebound and get that dub come tomorrow. But this is an episode that I think everybody's really, really going to enjoy. And make sure you do all the things you do on social media. You like and follow. YouTube's really taken off for us. So if you like watching our content, please do there. If not, make sure you tune in on Apple or Spotify. One of those things. But breaking news, Steven and I are going to go on a little Christmas break. We're sorry. We're going to miss you guys for the next 2 weeks. But it's something we need to do. So the next 2 weeks, Steven and I are going to pick 2 of our favorite episodes from our first 2 seasons and play those back. So hopefully you guys enjoy. I picked season 1. We'll let you guys. Maybe that'll be guess the guest next week. And the following week, Steven is going to pick his favorite episode from this current season. So hopefully you guys enjoy. We definitely hope you guys all have a great holiday season and Merry Christmas to all. See you guys.
All right, tailgaters. We got the original founder, member of the DBU, Johnathan Joseph. What's up, brother?
What's going on, my man? Glad to be on here with you guys, man. It's a pleasure.
Not only founding member of DBU, but like you had you're one of the first Gamecock Rock Hill athletes. Like you were the OG. Like right after Stephen and I's time, we had Stefan, Devontae,
A lot of dudes.
Clowney, Tori Gurley. I mean, there's a bunch of dudes. And Rock Hill's always had stud athletes, but you were like the first to come and really sediment yourself in Gamecock history from Rock Hill.
Man, it's you go back, like, honestly, man, like, Rick Sanford. I went to the same high school as Rick Sanford, who was the first round defensive back from the Gamecocks way back in the day. So
Yep.
it was just really about myself just following the lead. Like, I was blessed to be, paired with a guy like Sheldon Brown, who he's technically not from Rock Hill, but he lives in the Rock Hill area. He coaches baseball at South Point now. So he's a
Yep.
guy that I always looked up to from afar. We had Tony Watkins down there, but, it was Sheldon Brown, Andre Goodman, Rashard Faison, those guys who went through the tough times at Carolina. And then, Dante Robinson and those guys came along. I just, came there at the right time. Obviously, it takes a lot of talent and work to get there. But I just wanted to set a standard, and I didn't think it would take off the way it did. But, just being an older guy, seeing Stephon and the rest of those guys following my shoes, man. I just wanted to come down there, me and Coach Simpson. We didn't think that, we would make the statement that we made when we came there as a Gamecock. We just wanted to go out, lead by example. And we both, started. Coach was a true freshman. I was a junior college transfer. And, man, it was just about competing in practice, doing all the small things. A lot of guys seen me get drafted in the first round. And I think that helped out in recruiting, especially in the Rock Hill area. And thing that I always just talk about, either with my kids, when I first got there, I was the most improved defensive back in the spring. And it all starts in the workouts in the spring and things like that to show your teammates you're accountable. And then the next year, I was the most outstanding defensive back in the spring. So, they gave me the confidence right there alone to know that I belong. I was all one of the top guys, and I always put the work in. Then it was just, going out on the field and just making plays and executing. And then the rest is kind of history.
Yeah, so take us back to like middle school, high school. Like what were your sports? What did you grow up playing? And then how the hell do you go from like did you not were you offered out of high school to South Carolina and other big schools,
No,
or
I
was
didn't
it just
have any offers, man. It's crazy how it happened. And everybody that knows me know I'm a big basketball guy. So basketball, I wouldn't say is my top sport, but if you can catch me any day of the week, I'm probably playing basketball. I lived over in it's a little older for you guys, but I lived in the Peabody gym. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying?
Mhm.
So that's all I was looking forward to when I was there, was just playing basketball. And then in high school, it's the same thing. Obviously me hopping on that bus and going to Coffeeville. I was fortunate enough to get down there with some guys, Darryl Shropshire, former Gamecock,
Mhm.
running back Brandon Jacobs, running back Damian Nash, was drafted also. Paul Soliah came straight from the islands from Hawaii, played
Yep.
D tackle. I was blessed to be in the secondary with Deshaun Golson and Reggie Nelson.
Mhm.
Had a guy from South Carolina from Emerald, great receiver, Jamar Turner. So I just had some older guys around me there to show me the ropes, once I got to junior college. And, those guys just taught me what it was to be, a college
Wait,
player coming out of high school.
all those dudes were at your fucking junior college?
Yeah, when I left, if I'm correct, we sent 26 guys to Division One.
Holy
Holy
smokes.
shit.
I played with Paul Soliah in Atlanta for 2 years.
He
He
came
was a
straight from the islands, man. 350, running like a 4.8, 4.7, tearing the basketball goal off the rim. Watch that
yo.
guy, drink a whole case of beer, then go out there and play volleyball for 3 hours, just one-on-one volleyball. So he was a great athlete, man. But that was what we was surrounded with at Coffeeville. And I think it just raised the play of each and every guy, because back then, coming out, guys not having offers, every day it was about going to that little mailbox and see what
Yep.
college sent you a letter to see what college recruited you.
Yep. That's it. I mean, that's it's the desire and the taste of success that kind of like keeps you wanting more. And then obviously the guys around you that you realize they're ballers, and they're like, you like, shit, I got an elevator. I'm gonna get left behind. I don't want to be the one dude here who doesn't get that Division I scholarship.
Absolutely, man. It was about just doing the right thing. Everybody taking care of their grades and first and foremost. You know, Bryce Sire, Jeff Liker, who's been around that program at Coffeyville for years, and all those guys. James Spurlock was my defensive coach. You know, he was hard on us. You know, just trying to teach us discipline, all the right things. You know, because everybody had a reason why they was in junior college, whether it was grade, whether it was getting in trouble, whatever it may be, and maybe guys were just overlooked, but was all there for a reason. And we all had the same goal, was to come there, graduate, and go on to the next level.
Yeah, well, who was your recruiting director at South Carolina during that time when you were at junior college? And obviously Lou Holtz was the head coach, but what was that recruitment like?
It was Coach. Oh my God, I want to say it's Dave. Oh my God.
It wasn't David Reeves wasn't there yet, right?
Coach Reeves was there. Coach Reeves was there. Pretty boy Reeves was there, man.
David Reeves was there.
It was David Reeves was there, but oh my God, he was
Holy shit.
coach. Oh, I don't even want to know why I can't forget his name right now. He runs the ambulance service out of Spartanburg right now. God,
shoot,
it was him. Oh my God.
Was Tyrone Nix the defensive coordinator, or was it somebody else?
Tyrone Nix came Spurrier's first year.
Yep.
Yeah.
It wasn't him. It was Rick Minner when I first got there.
Okay.
It was Rick Minner because, you know, it was Lou Holt's crew who recruited me, so it was Rick Minner. I don't know why I can't think of his name now because we've talked several times. It'll come to me in a minute, but man, he wasn't letting me get out of there without a doubt. You know, he stayed on me, recruited me hard. Lou Holtz even flew down to Coffeyville. I walked in the gym while I was playing basketball and things like that. So it was just one of those moments to where, you know, they made me feel wanted. Told me, you know, once I got to campus, I was going to be running with the ones from very first day. I was going to be a starter. And, you know, they held their word, and I kind of held up my end also.
Well, yeah, you held up your end and you locked down half the field. So
you know, it was always, and Robbie Lyles was always in the back shadows, if you know Robbie.
Yeah,
Robbie. We know Robbie, yeah.
Robbie, Robbie finished up. He got out of it like 7 or 8 years ago, but man, he was one of the goats. He was the man.
Even Staggs, Chad Staggs was there. He probably had a little more prominent role with you guys, but when I got there, you know, he just came on board with Demetrius Summers, and part of his job was keeping meat right. You know, and he wasn't even recruiting. He was the guy banging on your door to get up for training camp, you know, coming in there waking guys up just to see the way he's rose, you know, through the coaching ranks and things like that. That's amazing to see also.
He's a coordinator now, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Where's he at? Is he at Coastal?
He's at Coastal.
Yeah, I was about to say that's the last I saw. That's crazy.
It is amazing. There's a lot of guys that played at Carolina that transitioned and played in the NFL and then even transitioned into coaching. There's a lot of guys, Brian Remph, a lot of guys that are coaching at high level. Deuce Staley, a lot of dudes.
That's the GOAT. Deuce Staley, Nashawn Goddard, Chris Hampton, Corey Peoples. You know, there's a lot of those guys that I played with, and I know Chris Hampton from day one that he came there. You know, he started as a true freshman. He wasn't a guy that just was overly talented from height, weight, and speed, but he was tough as nails. Came from a great background, football town in Memphis, great coaching in Memphis. And, you know, he's extremely smart. And we always called him Radio back then just because he remembered everything. You know, he was getting Coach Center lined up at times. And it was great to play with a guy like that because, you know, it's just show you what football all is about is in college. Sometimes it's not about all the athletic ability, height, weight, and things. Sometimes it's just about, is that guy a tough guy or not? And can he go out and execute and make plays and do the right thing?
Yeah, 100%. Addison Williams is another one now. He's at Nebraska. He's defensive coordinator at UCF.
He is. Man. He's there with my guy, John Butler. He's coaching DBs out there. He's with my guy, John Butler, who coached me here in Houston.
Yeah, John Butler was at South Carolina, too.
Yeah, he was. He's
for like a minute. I think he was there
hey, I heard about that one also for a minute, and he ended up coaching in Houston right after that. And, you know, I was with Coach Fitz. Coach Fitz is one of my great guys I talk to all the time. You know, we stay in
crazy ass.
Oh, yes, he is, man. But once he came into the NFL, you know, I got glued to him from the hip just because, you know, he gave me that extra push late in my career. You know, he was able to coach me up the right way in the weight room and allow me to do the things that I need to do to continue to play, you know, and have longevity.
I'll tell you, that's one thing that Fitz did, man. He could pull the most out of you.
Oh,
you may not like it at the time, but he gets your ass going.
You know, because first, you know, I had Coach Mark Black Iron. I don't know if you guys
yeah. We know we remember Black Iron vividly.
He sucked. Like he was good at what he did, but he killed you.
Oh my God, man. I'll never forget, man. He had us run 56 of those across the fields and back. I don't know if that was
gassers.
the
Oh
day I
yeah.
made my mind up and said I was leaving early or what.
Yep. No
Yeah,
doubt.
no, he would put that weight on your back and say, "You got to get lower. Oh, you ain't low enough. You ain't low enough." It's like,
That
dude,
leg
my
press
fucking
machine was something
spot,
else with him.
the
That
leg
leg
press.
press machine.
God, I got nightmares thinking about that damn leg press machine.
Guys, man, I remember guys was having headaches. They was literally, as soon as they got on the machine, wouldn't even touch the weight yet. They was getting migraines.
Oh, absolutely.
We saw there two guys in our recruiting class quit within the first week on that leg press machine.
Oh
I'll
my!
never forget doing so I redshirted my first year and doing the redshirt workouts. We did Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays. Fridays I would travel with the team, so I didn't have to do that. But Wednesdays I went in there and I think Cody Wells for some reason was in trouble or something happened. So they loaded the leg press machine up on him. And I've never seen a grown man shit in his pants and vomit at the same time. I was like, dude, what is happening? I don't know if I'm cut out for this kind of deal.
He
Cody
is.
Wells was not like a slouch, man. He was a hell of a dude. And so Cody, forgive me for telling that story if you hear this thing, but man, that was a hell of a first impression for a young, 18-year-old kid.
Yeah, I mean those freaking workouts in college. I still like to try to get after it from a workout standpoint to stay fit and chase around my four kids. But what Black Iron used to do to us, like that should have been criminal. Like
Oh man, I
awful.
try to explain it to him. I have a 22-year-old son that's at Livingstone, and I have a 17-year-old that's going off to college this year. I try to explain to him what that next level workout is all about, and you can only tell them so much. You have to really go through it just to understand it. You see a lot of guys go off to college. I've been coaching 7-on-7 and things like that. That's the first thing they tell me when they come back after that first little semester that they do. Coach, you wasn't lying, coach. Coach, you wasn't lying. I'm like, hey, it's a full-time job, brother.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep. And then
Well,
on
and
top
now,
of that,
now they're getting paid for it.
Now they're getting paid for it, and I don't want to say when I say I don't know if it's a good thing or not, because obviously you want the kids to be compensated and things like that. But I don't know if the focus is there and all that, like it was for us, because, we were
Right.
hungry, back then. I don't know what it would have been like, if I had an extra 200 grand sitting over there in my account.
yeah, I mean
100%.
the goal was always to make it to the NFL. And now they're going to make more money possibly during their time in college than they'll make in their rookie contract in the NFL, which is crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. But it's a change in the landscape. It is good to see, obviously, because you just look at how much some of these players produce for these universities and these colleges.
Yep.
So it's a fine line. But it was nothing like getting that Pell Grant back then and getting that weekend check.
Yeah, 40
That
something bucks a
weekend check,
weekend,
yeah.
and we were rich.
We put this together. We making it happen,
No doubt. Eating Bubba burgers and all the good stuff.
man. The good old times there, man. It was nothing like this, every weekend, all the guys. It just brings you together as a team, though. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Just going, hanging out, whatever we were doing. All like back then, everybody was hanging out at Big Jabari Levy's house. So,
Yep.
we'd all go over there and we put it together, and whatever we can put together to bring to make a party, we was doing it.
What was the jumping spot during your time down in 5 Points or Vista? Where were y'all hanging
Yeah, it
out
was
at?
it was 5 points. It was Vista. It was the same thing, man.
Yep.
Nothing pretty much changed over the years. I'm sure there's some new stuff going on down there now, but it was the
A
same thing,
lot.
man. We was hanging out in the Vista, going to 5 points, same old type of thing, or sitting out on the bricks all day in the quads.
Yep. Yep. Some shit happens over there at the Bricks for sure.
A lot of shit.
The bricks are one of the kind, man. You didn't never know what was gonna happen out there on the bricks. A lot of people didn't even like to walk down the stairs because it became a roast session.
Yep.
Every time. Every time.
Yeah. So were you in East Quad? Was it all four
Yep.
years or just 2 years?
I was in East Quad, then moved off campus right down the street, not too far, but it's nothing like the quads, man. It's nothing like the quads. It's hard to get some rest in the quads.
Yes, it is, especially when your roommate is right there and is throwing a party every night. But
Every night. Every night.
better for it because he used to, and better for it because he.
There's no doubt. No doubt. No doubt about it.
So during your time, who were some of like the big marquee receivers you ever had to get matched up with?
Honestly, man, then I know when I first got there, I had Reggie Brown and those guys
Mhm.
at Georgia. Brandon Marshall was at Central Florida.
Yep.
Um, Tennessee had Swain and a few guys. Florida had what was the guy from Florida name?
Was that
Um,
Rashay Caldwell or?
it wasn't Rashay. It wasn't Rashay. It was Chad Jackson. It was Chad
Oh
Jackson.
yeah,
It was
Okay.
Chaz Jackson at Florida. Auburn had Ben, what was his name? Ben, I can't think of his number 80 at Auburn. They had him at Auburn. It was really the guys on my team though, man, to be honest.
Really?
Like, we had when I got there, Matthew Thomas, we had Troy Williamson, so it was just going against those guys each and every day. Then we had Sidney Rice, Kenny
Right.
McKinley, those guys come in. And, for me, I was an older guy, so going up against those guys every day, I enjoyed it at practice because you know how Spurrier is. He think nobody can stop his offense.
Yeah.
So,
Uh-huh.
it was a pleasure for me just going out to practice to lock up against those guys and show those guys, what it was like and try to teach those guys the ropes. So it was always competition, man. You go out there practice. I look forward to it each and every day. And it was the good old times because under Lou Holtz, we had to wear knee braces, like the lineman knee braces in practice.
Oh,
Every
God.
man.
Holy shit.
That was brutal. That was
Yeah.
brutal. Everybody had to have their ankle taped, so on and so on. So it was just going up against those guys in practice. And then once I left there and I seen the way Sidney Rice and those guys just took over and went to the next level, I couldn't be even more excited because, that's when things started to turn down there. When I was there, we went on to beat Florida. We won some big games under Steve Spurrier's first year. And to
Yep.
see you guys continue that and take it to the next level, I thought you guys had a chance at, national championship just off the talent that you guys had alone.
Yeah. I mean, shit. I mean, Connor and them won 11 games 2 years in a row, which is crazy. But
3.
3 years in a row. But
Exactly. You know what I
but
mean? Crazy.
never won the East and got the chance to play in an SEC championship game.
It's a
which is
dog
wild.
fight, though, man. It's a dog fight in that SEC, man. You lose 1 or 2, they calling for your job.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, no doubt. What so when you got there and during your time, what bowl games did you play in, and what was kind of the culture like at that point? Transitioning
When
from
I got
Holtz to Spurrier.
there, when I first got there, I broke my foot second game against Georgia. I didn't remember curl route against Reggie Brown, put my foot in the ground, just broke it. And after that, Dr. Nix had to get me fixed up and went to surgery, had that surgery. Not Dr. Nix, Dr. Oh my God, I said this, not
Dr.
Dr. Nix.
Guy.
Dr. Guy, Dr.
Dr.
Guy,
Guy.
got my shoulder guy, everything. I spent the night at his house. Never forget
Really?
as Dr. Guy got me fixed up, man. And just, me and be able to sit out that year and just watch football and grow. And then the next year we came around, we went to the Independence Bowl. And just for us, going up there, it was just a great experience because, that was my first time being in a bowl game. How big it was or how small. It was just a simple fact that we was extended our play to the postseason, that was big for us and obviously for recruits and the rest of the guys coming in and going up
But
there. We
now,
played Missouri.
now you got guys that don't even want to play in bowl games.
Yeah,
It's
it's
crazy.
crazy. Like,
It is
I
crazy.
was one of those guys, like, I already knew I was leaving early. I had a second round grade. So it was no way that I wasn't playing in that bowl game. Remember going up against Chase Kaufman from Missouri. He was a freshman then, great tight end. And it was just like Brad Smith was the quarterback.
Yep.
And I felt, it was my duty to go out there and finish the job with my teammates. A lot of guys think about injury or thinking about it's going to hurt their draft stock. I looked at it as the opposite. Like, this is the way to go out and improve my draft stock.
Nope. Sentiment. No, and you did that. I mean, shit, ended up getting
100%.
drafted in the first round. So you had a second round grade, and then you ran 4.31 and completely
Jesus.
soared up. But talk about kind of the draft process and where'd you go to train and when you realized that, okay, I'm probably going to go in the first round and I'm going to go make an impact immediately when I get to the NFL.
I went up to Parisi's up in New Jersey, man, and that was a different experience also because I never forget when we was up there training. I think it rained I snowed 34 inches like just 2 days straight.
Oh,
And
God.
I'm thinking it's a day off. Everybody wakes up and everybody hit the ground running, cars still moving and everything. I'm like, in the South where I'm from, you get 2 inches or an inch, everything shuts down.
Oh, yeah.
And going up there, man, we had Tim Jennings. It was me, Tim Jennings, Coach Simpson, Drew Coleman, and we just had a bunch of guys that, to be honest, Willie Reed from Florida State. I mean, we ran 4.3, 4.2 every day training. It was just like a whole nother, it was a track meet every day going to train. It was something that you had to mentally get prepared for because after about 4 weeks into it, it seems like it started getting boring because you're doing the same thing over and over.
Yep.
But, that's just part of the process. And then you still don't have an idea where you're getting drafted. Going into it, I was a third cornerback, from projections. and things like that. So, for me, it was just about trying to elevate my game, obviously getting ready for all the questions they're going to ask you in the meeting process. And at the same time, trying to get stronger because it's your one shot to go out there and perform your best in front of everybody.
Yep.
And being invited to the combine was something that I wasn't going to, forgive my chance up to go out and compete in front of the rest of the guys. I already knew I was a fast guy when I was at Carolina. When we was training every day, when we ran those 40s, I was a 4.34 guy there. So I knew I was going to run fast. But it was about the small things, cleaning up my technique, being a guy that only played 12 or 13 Division I games. I knew it was going to be a lot of questions about me, about my character and things like that. So it was just the little things that I just wanted to work on, within myself each and every day throughout those, 6 weeks or however long, 2 months process it is while we up there training. And then just surrounding myself with the right guys, everybody in their draft class, everybody in my workout class, they had tight ends, Owen Daniels. We had guys that we can push each other in different ways. It wasn't about just going out and see who can run the fastest, but at the same time, who can maintain that same type of level throughout this whole training process.
We talk a lot about defining moments when it comes to football.
One choice can change the entire outcome of a game or season.
Moments that seem small often make a substantial impact in the long run, and that is true in all facets of life.
Like whom you choose to bank with?
Picking the right bank can make a huge difference in finding success.
That's why you need to elevate your financial game with Founders Federal Credit Union. Their rates are always competitive, and they've got trusted financial tools that help keep your financial goals on track.
Don't forget their service to their membership and community is unrivaled.
Get in the game today. Swing by a Founders office near you or visit foundersfcu.com to apply for membership. Founders is federally insured by the NCUA. Membership qualification is required. Looking for the perfect spot to unwind? Steelhead Brewing in Casey has you covered. Whether you're craving a refreshing craft beer or just a great time with friends and family, Steel Hands has it all. With a variety of craft beers, spacious outdoor beer gardens, and a delicious food menu, there's something for everyone. Plus, join them for free live music every Thursday through Sunday. Visit steelhandsbrewing.com to see their lineup of upcoming events or host your own. Handforce and Casey and voted best local brewery again this year. Go visit steelhandsbrewing.com. Hey Gamecocks, at Granger Owings, style starts with you. From custom fits to emerging brands, they offer a curated selection of women's and men's clothing for work, weekends, and every moment in between. Their stylists take the time to understand your lifestyle, then help you build a wardrobe that fits your needs and feels like you. Shop in store, downtown on Main Street and Trenton Plaza, or book a fitting online at grangerowings.com. Granger Owings, where personal style meets personal service.
Yeah, well, I mean, you end up getting drafted 24th overall to the Bengals, and then you step in and Marvin Lewis, the head coach there, who ran a pretty tight ship. I had a buddy, Clint Bowling, who played there, which you did not overlap with because you finished in 2010 there. But he told me stories about Marvin Lewis and how big of a stickler he was on kind of culture, demeanor, attitude, all that stuff. So you went there and you had guys like Ocho Cinco, TJ Houshmandzadeh. Like, talk about getting in there and having to guard guys like that to really elevate your game.
That was a rude awakening. I get there. They got TJ Houshmandzadeh, Chris Henry, Ocho Cinco, Carson Palmer at quarterback. So, that was my first time where I just looked around and was like, this is what the National Football League is all about. You got a guy covered, quarterback's throwing it on time. He's putting it in each and every window. You have a guy drop underneath in the curl flats. He's throwing it right over his head, dropping it right in the bucket. So it was just about learning from the veterans that I had around me, Willie Anderson, all those guys. And on defense, we had Justin Smith, Delta O'Neal, Torrey James, Keywan Rattler was there, Dexter Jackson, Super Bowl MVP, Madieu Williams. So I was surrounded with a lot of guys that, Greg Brooks was a lesser-known guy whose son, Greg Brooks Jr., was the kid at LSU with the cancer. So, he was the only guy that I seen actually put hands on Chad Johnson all the time in press coverage. Because, I was a 4-3 guy, but I promise you, when I got up to the line, it felt like I was a 4-5 and he was a 4-3. It was just one of those things where I knew I had to just work on technique, because I wasn't going to last if I just, counted on just my overall athletic ability just to get me through. It was I got to actually hone in on my football skills, understand the game, understand splits, take coaching well. Because when I first got there, we got 10 reps. I was probably losing 3 out of 10. But, it's those growing pains when you come in as a rookie, as a young guy. obviously being a first round pick, they want to see you on the field and they want to see what you're made of. So for me, it was something that I had to go through and go out and compete each and every day. And, I didn't take it for granted. Made all the rookie team and things like that. And we won some games there. And then, next year we drafted Leon Hall in the first round. Now I got a guy right across from me. I'm looking like, damn, he's just as good as me. But at the same time, I'm looking like, they drafted me the year before. Why they need another corner?
Yep. Playing that game for sure. Yeah, he was a burner too, wasn't he? Was he a 4-2, 4-3 guy as well?
Yeah, he was a 4-3 guy, but he was like a technician. So like we learned a lot from each other. I was probably more overall athletic than him, but he was a guy just a complete technician. And I used to watch him each and every day, and we learned from each other. And we just competed in practice till 2009. We were both team MVPs. We won the division that year. We were 6-0 in the division. Me and Leon Hall was voted, team MVPs on that team. That was just big for my confidence, his confidence, and just overall show my growth as a player because, in the league is all about, taking the next step. They want to see you continue to grow, and everybody's trying to work towards their next contract and things like that. And, unfortunately, I broke my foot again my second year playing basketball when I shouldn't been. So I had about 4 foot surgeries because I broke that same foot at South Carolina. I went right back down there and let Doc fix me up again, because that's who I was comfortable with and things like that. Yep. And I had a chance to be out of football. It was about 6 or 7 games, but all the time when you in the National Football League and you're injured, it's almost like you're not even on the team because those guys that, you're not in the game plan. The coaches have a job to do. They got to stay focused with the task at hand. So, they may stop in there and peek and see you, but at the same time, you just kind of like, man, I'm not even a part of this thing. So it makes you want to fight even harder to get back out there. And so for me, it was just about taking the rehab serious and doing all those small things and just overcoming those things and then just growing my game, sitting back and just continue to watch football each and every Sunday. Yep. I just came home, sat in my mom's basement, put on all the games, and then I just started to pick up on tendencies and look and be like, you know what? They just running the same shit over and over. The same plays. They just flip the side sometimes, Now you got to understand what personnel they have in the game down and distance. What split the wide receiver is, backfield sets and all those type of things, and just continue to study those things. It just slowed the game down tremendously for me.
100%. Well, the AFC North, that's what the nickname of that division is, right?
Black and blue.
It's the black and blue division. If you are the team that doesn't play consistently in that division and you get slotted to play them, it's like me. Like this is going to be 4 games of hell.
Yeah, it didn't matter if you was going to play Cleveland, going up to the Dog Pound, you going to Baltimore, or you going up to Heinz Field. It's going to be a fight. It's going to be a full 4-quarter fight. Marvin Lewis would always say it's a double chin strap week, and back then, crack block was legal. Everything was legal in the game.
Everything was, yeah.
Everything was legal in the game. So every game I would come out of there, ribs sore, shoulder sore, everything. It was nothing like when you go in there, but it was great battles. And it tested you and it made you grow up as a man real quick. Going up against a guy like Hines Ward. Like I just never forget. And he coming to block you, but it's not a normal block. He's coming to block, but he's leading with that head of his and he's going to headbutt you first. And you dizzy for the next 3 plays. You can't even get yourself together. Going up with guys like Willie Parker, running back, Jamal Lewis, Willis McGahee. Every week it was just a guy. And man, they're going to put it up where the corner got a tackle. They're going to see if you physical or not. And then at that time, those guys' defenses was at the height. Baltimore had loaded defense. Pittsburgh loaded on defense. So me as a young player, I'm looking over there like, man, this James Ferrier, this Troy Pollard, Chris Hope, Ike Taylor, Ray Lewis, Ed Reed, all those guys that you looked up to every week, So it was a thing, man. And it made you grow up real quick in the league because you can't be a fan of those guys. We out here competing.
I lived in the cold tub every single game if we played the AFC North. Like it was like a guaranteed at least an hour and a half in the cold tub after those weeks.
Oh, it's man. You had no chance because it's going to be about 35 runs, period. 35, 40 runs. They trying to, physically dominate you and break your wheel. And, obviously they had Big Ben at quarterback. He can throw the ball, 100 yards in the air. And Pittsburgh kept speed receivers. It was like one of those things to where like you get caught up in the run game, but those guys, Nate Washington, Hines Ward when I was young, Santonio Holmes. Then they went to Mike Wallace, Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown, all those guys. So it taught you real quick, like, hey, you better be on your toes each and every play because you never know when you're going to get exposed out here.
When you finished in Cincinnati and you signed in Houston, what was obviously you signed in Houston? Houston had not a good defense. They brought you in to try to bail them out. But talk about kind of signing in Houston and then how you were able to kind of. I mean, you spent 9 or 10 years there, and how what it was like helping to build that culture because Houston had a bunch of success towards the tail end of your career there.
Yeah, like that free agency is crazy because everybody get drafted and everybody have a different length on their contract and things. It was my draft class was me, probably one of the better draft classes in Cincinnati history. It was me, Domital Pecco, Frosty Rucker, Andrew Whitworth. All those guys played 10, 12 years. Plus in the NFL had great careers. We was the first 4 picks on that team. And, those guys signed contract extensions. And I looked around, was like, well, why not me? And those guys had 4-year deals and things like that. So, they got to the table a lot earlier than me, with me being a first round pick. And it was a funny year that year because it was the lockout year.
Yep.
So, guys are just training and we had no idea what was going on. I had no idea where I was going to go. Was working out, at a field out in Cincinnati each and every day. Guys were scattered all over the place. And then all of a sudden we got the call saying that the lockout was going to be listed. And, had a few teams that was interested. The first team was the Oakland Raiders. Second team was Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They both offered more money. But I had met Andre Johnson at Fred Bennett's wedding that offseason. And, he's like, man, I'd like to have you in Houston, man. Do what I can to get you there. And, for me, playing indoors, playing in a nice weather city, no state taxes, team that already had the right pieces in place because their offense was phenomenal at that time.
That was Mashabi, right?
Yep, Matt Schaub, Arian Foster, Andre Johnson, Kevin Walters, Owen Daniels, Dwayne Brown, all those guys. And on the defensive side, they had lost Dante Robinson in free agency to Atlanta. And then, coming in, had a young guy, Glover Quinn, at safety. Kareem Jackson from Alabama was the corner drafted the first round that year. Yep. And they already had Connor Barron, Mario Williams, D'Amico Ryans at linebacker, Brian Cushing. So it wasn't, like I was a savior, but they needed the right pieces in place. I was a veteran guy once I came to that team, and I was able to come in with a guy, Danielle Manning. And, thank God that same year they drafted J.J. Watt.
Yeah, that was a good one.
He probably made it a little bit easier for the defensive backs, huh?
For sure, and they booed him on draft night, That's funny how it works, they booed him on draft night, it wasn't the sexiest pick and things like that. And just coming in, man, being around a guy, Vance Joseph was my defensive back coach, the Broncos defensive coordinator, former Miami Dolphins head coach. Wade Phillips, the legendary Wade Phillips came in. And it was about just creating a culture, man. I had a chance when I was in Cincinnati to play under Mike Zimmer. And if you know anything about Mike Zimmer, it's all about discipline, tough, doing everything the right way. And I just brought that same mentality with me to Houston here. And, man, it was just crazy how fast things took off, playing under Gary Kubiak, who's a player's coach, but also holds guys to a great standard. And it was about me just coming in and doing my job and showing the younger guys, the right way to go about their business, how to show up each and every day at practice. And, the way you practice is the way you play and things like that. So for me, it was just timing was perfect, man. It couldn't be any better timing for myself. And it just kind of took off, made a few Pro Bowls here. We won a lot of division titles here. We didn't get the ultimate Super Bowl that we wanted, but we did, turn the franchise around and, show the city that, we are a franchise that's going to be something to reckon with in the future.
That is true. We'll talk a little bit about, because I played under Kyle Shanahan, Mike Shanahan, Kubiak. Talk about playing against that offense day in, day out at practice and kind of how everything looks the similar, but you're doing 12 different things off the same base look, and the action looks the same. But talk about playing defense in that system, against that system.
Bulls on parade, man. They run sideways, man. They got them going sideways. It was something that you had to really study and go in and put your skills on because, it was just very unique how you look at every running back that came through that system, every quarterback, whether he's a first-round guy or undrafted guy, whatever he was, he had success. So it speaks, volume to how those guys coach it up. They're very stickler about how they wanted to look exactly the same each and every time. So you just look how that coaching tree has grown. But in practice, it challenges you each and every day because it can be 13 personnel, 12 personnel, whatever personnel he came out. He did a great job of making it all look the same. And it was all about timing. They hit that back foot, that ball's coming out. Guys got to be in the right spot. So it challenged us each and every day, you know, in practice. It made me a better player, obviously going up against a guy, Hall of Famer, Andre Johnson in practice. You know, coming from Cincinnati, going up against Chad Johnson, Terrell Owens late in my career. I knew it was like going up against a guy like that in practice, but just to see it each and every day and just to be on the other side and knowing now I'm a top money guy. I'm the guy on the defensive side that's supposed to lead the secondary. All eyes on me. So I had to be locked in each and every day. And it just taught me so much about football. Just because, like you said, you never know who the guy was. You think you got to beat on him, then all of a sudden, this guy's creeping out the back window for a wide open pass.
Yep.
You know, in cover 4, you know, they're going to take their shots. You know, it's going to be something like that. So they just challenge you in every way. And it just made me understand football from a totally different perspective.
I'll tell you what, there's a theme that you've been saying, man. The guys that you've been going against in practice seem to be pretty elite.
Yep.
Oh, man, it was crazy to watch me. You know, I played until I was 37, but I never forget going up against Terrell Owens when he was like 37, 38 years old. And I'm like, God damn, this is crazy. Because he still went for like 1,000 yards that season, my last year in Cincinnati. And, you know, for me, it just taught me like the only way that I'm going to last this long, I watched those guys, the way they worked, the way they took care of their body, you know, the way they went about their business and doing everything. And if I wanted to have the longevity that I had to, you know, watch those guys and see that those guys was doing something right, you know. Ed Reed came in, another Hall of Fame guy that I was blessed to be around. So just being around those guys and seeing the way that they act, and I just wanted to, you know, put the same way that they had longevity and things in their career. And obviously coming from Rock Hill, I had a chance in my career early on to work out with Chris Hope, who was, you know, big time legend from Rock Hill, you know, went on to do great things in college and a professional career. And he taught me how to work in the off season, you know, whether I had a strength coach, whether I had a personal workout coach or whatever it was, I knew how to get myself in shape coming into the season, because all that stuff right there kind of takes care of injury within itself. You know, if I'm ready to go from day one, I don't have to get in training camp and get in shape and do all those smart things. And I just knew each and everybody, I couldn't be those guys because we're all different, but I knew watching those guys closely, watching how they go about their business, how they're able to be a leader, you know, how I'm able to get on certain guys in certain ways and approach it, because everybody's different. Everybody got different personalities. So I just knew the way that I was going to approach it, you know, to get the best out of my guys. Kareem Jackson played 14 years in the league. Glover Quinn went on to do great things. Brice, McCain, guy like AJ Bouye, who was undrafted, you know, known to make, you know, get a big contract, make Pro Bowls, who came in up under me, Kevin Johnson from Wake Forest. So it was about me just continuing to carry that torch, but also, you know, it's funny because I'm competing against those guys to keep my job, but at the same time, I had a personal duty to make sure those guys got the best out of their career also.
I'll tell you what, him and John Abraham know everybody's name and everybody's college, where they're from. It's kind of crazy. I don't know who the hell I was just training this morning. I don't know their whole story.
But you know, those guys teach you, man. It's like when you walk in the building, I knew everybody, was the guy who was dumping out the trash, the guy who was fixing my
it's
breakfast.
important. It's
you know,
important.
it's important, you know, because they're part of it just like we are. And those are the people that take care of us the most and that we spend a lot of time with that people don't see. So I just always made it my duty to speak to everyone in the building, make everyone feel welcome and treat everyone the same. You know, whether you was a lesser teammate or you was a high money guy, I would talk to every guy on the team. I would spend time after practice, spend time in the locker room with them, get to know them, because now it forms a brotherhood and let us know we all pulling in the same direction.
Yeah.
Tailgate Talks is powered by Lanier & Burroughs, South Carolina's premier accident attorneys. If you've been in a truck wreck, car crash, slip and fall, or suffered injury on the job, these guys have the experience to fight for the compensation you deserve. Founding partner Louis Lanier has been battling for South Carolina since 1974, and Shane Burroughs brings over 15 years of top-rated trial experience. Best part? They're Gamecocks, and they offer a free initial consultation and will come to you. Give them a call at 803-268-9800 or visit landblawfirm.com. Lanier & Burroughs, fierce advocates, local roots, proven results.
Home Team Barbecue is fired up to take care of your tailgate and watch party needs this season. Home Team is known for its smoked meats, creative daily specials, and twists on Southern classic. Smoked wings, ribs, pulled pork sliders, barbecue nachos, or classic sides like mac and cheese and collard greens are the perfect feast to fuel your game day. Round up your friends and give Home Team Catering a shout at catering@hometeambarbecue.com or head to 5 Points for a frozen game changer cocktail and barbecue snacks to celebrate the next Gamecocks big win. Visit hometeambarbecue.com to check out the menu.
Tailgate Talks is brought to you by JCQ Farms, a proud South Carolina family farm rooted in tradition and built on quality. Whether it's their premium beef, farm fresh produce, or their signature smoked meats, JCQ Farms brings the taste of the South straight to your table. Perfect for your next tailgate, backyard barbecue, or family dinner. Remember, always support your American farms because they are drying out each day. Support local, eat better, and stock up for the season. JCQ Farms, where quality meets Carolina pride.
Gamecock Nation, it's time to elevate your outdoor space. Palm Casual Outdoor Furniture, Gamecock owned and operated, has you covered with locations all across South Carolina. Whether you're poolside, tailgating, or watching the Gamecocks dominate in your backyard, Palm Casual has the perfect setup for you. Visit them online at palmcasual.com and gear up for a fall filled with Gamecock victories. Cheers to a winning season from the DeMarco back porch, proudly furnished by Palm Casual.
Dude, you were going. I know you had an incredible NFL career and playing career, but you were going to be a unreal coach when you decide to dive all in there. Because I mean, I've learned a lot from you just listening to this podcast.
Yeah, man.
Kind of in just the DB world and your intentionality and all the stuff that you're about, man, is like what recruiting needs to be, what player development needs to be, and just like everybody that you get surrounded with is better because of you.
Yeah, it's a process. Like my son now, he have a few, college offers, and everybody wants to play now and wants to go in right away. But I'm like, I redshirted in junior college, and that was my chance to go out there and compete against the older guys to get myself prepared when I actually do have a shot. Now I'm out there. I'm not just playing. I'm able to actually produce because, a lot of guys lose confidence. It's no different than quarterback. A lot of
No
these
doubt about
quarterbacks
it,
get
dude.
thrown into the fire, man, and it's hard, man. And now you lose confidence in some of your abilities, everything going on around you. The coaching staff may lose confidence in you,
And then you're done.
and then you're done. And it's
Yeah.
like, I don't think that's fair to a lot of guys. So for me, any way I can help speed that process up, I work out several kids here in the Houston area, kids when I go back home. Every time I have a chance to help a kid or just tell them something, man, like the greatest achievement for me personally is Stephon Gilmore winning Defensive Player of the Year.
Yep.
Because I know how much me and Stephon talked football all the time. And it was just about, if it's split safeties, we know what they're going to do. You're attacking the middle of the field. You're taking your shot if we're in the right coverage. If it's single high safety, we understand exactly what you're going to do. If you way out here split outside the numbers, we know what you're probably going to do. So we just eliminate so much things. And you only have about 10 seconds to do all that, because you got to look at the personnel, the formation, the splits, down and distance. So it's about how fast you can process that stuff. And it just comes with over time. It's something that don't happen overnight. And, you try to harp on that with the younger guys so they can see the bigger picture, and that's my job and that's my duty. And that's what I've been doing for the past, since I've been retired.
That is, it's so true. Like DBs get a bad rap that you're just like the most athletic, freakish people out there, and you're on the island. But stance, splits, down and distance, footwork by the receiver. I mean, everything is
Football
you win or lose pre-snap, and a lot of people.
Oh, it's all pre-snap, man. I know, like, if you don't cross my face going on an over route or a certain thing, you ain't getting the ball. Yeah, you probably had a step, but you ain't getting the ball, man. Like, because I sat in those offensive meetings and I listened to what their job was, and it made my job easier. I see that receiver got a piece of the numbers. He's probably running an inside route. And the few times that he do run this little out, all right, I can live with it, but I'm playing percentages. I'm understanding, they got the split, they got the ball on the far left hash. They probably gonna bootleg or do something. Now, when they bootleg, you got to understand if it's a half boot or a full boot. Is they gonna pull up on that boot and take that shot, or is it gonna be a comeback or a stutter and go, whatever it may be? But it's about understanding. You watch a lot of guys get in the high red zone. They don't want field goals. They want touchdowns. They taking a shot. You better believe it. So how much can you process and understand? And then you have to go back and dig deep down inside and look at your weaknesses, because that's why all teams defend all week. We can attack them this way. We can do it that way. So now once you understand that, you're able to understand, okay, they're probably going to do this, or you have to work on it throughout the week to get better, because it's a long season. So the coach don't have all the time to sit out there with you individually to help you get better, because he got 10 other guys in that room also. So now it's about, is you going to stay out the practice, or are you going to put the time in on your own to actually critique yourself and be hard on yourself? So like I said, Stephon winning that Defensive Player of the Year, like I felt like I won it just because we've all been there before. And he should have got it the year before. He should have got Super Bowl MVP. You guys know that when we watched it, that playoff game. And just to see guys like, having DJ Swearinger there with me. And then, in Houston, like he's one of my favorite all-time Gamecocks because he brings it each and every day. The guy's detailed. He loves football. He's going to bring it. He's the heart and soul of every team he's been on. So just being around, even watching Jadeveon Clowney grow up from a young kid in Rock Hill to being a teammate of mine, just seeing him grow, seeing all the responsibilities put on him, and just being there for him as a big brother. So it's just about many roles that you put on when you're in the professional league. It's not about just yourself sometimes.
No, 100%.
Oh,
And you did
shit,
it.
well said.
You made everybody around you better. And that's a huge token because there's so many guys in the NFL that are worried about protecting their job and making sure they get their paycheck. But to look back and think I made everybody around me better, I helped him get to his second contract and all that stuff is huge.
Yeah, man. Like one of my favorite Gamecocks all the time. One of my favorite teammates was Ike Crowfoot, man. The long snapper, man.
No.
Ike, man, was an all-time favorite, man. It was just about just memories like that. Like just when you think about it and go back, and I was able to play 15 years in the league, so there's so many guys that I played with and things, but it's like everybody has a different bond with you, a different memory with you, and that's what sports is all about.
No doubt.
So one of my favorite, I didn't have many featured routes as a fullback when I was in the NFL. Obviously, you know that they're very, very rarely am I the number one target, but I ran a lot of conditioning routes, a lot of MORs, must outside release go routes. And every chance I had, because DBs will let you get like a step or two on them. I'm a 4.8 guy, so like they'll let me get a step or two behind them, and be like, I'm really looking back there. I'm not worried about you. But like once a game, I would you get big eyed and like I would like speed up for a second, like the ball was coming, and I'd freak a corner out. They're like, I let this freaking fat fullback get past me. He's gonna catch a go ball.
You see how the game has grown. That's not a playoff no more, though. They throwing it to
That's
that guy
true.
now, man.
I'd
Back
even
then it was,
I
oh,
would
he's just
throw
out
up my
there. They not
hands.
throwing him the ball. My eyes instantly go in right into number 2. I'm not even paying attention to that guy. But now, the coaches are saying, hey, they're not playing that guy. Take your shot. So you're just looking at how the game has grown.
I would throw up my hands sometimes, and DBs would go to punch through my hands, and I'd be like, I got your ass.
Oh, that's a natural reaction, man, because as a DB, like I tell most DBs, you don't want to react to everything. You want to be a step ahead and be thinking a step ahead. But, the worst feeling in the world as a defensive back is being beat. They used to always get on me a lot in practice and be like, when they started to put all the tracking devices on you, like, man, your speed never got to this, your speed never got to that. But I would always tell those guys, like, I'm not running full speed if I'm not beat.
Yep. No,
If I beat you to the punch, like I'm not running full speed, I cut you off, I'm on top, I don't have to sprint. Now, if you get me beat, I'm gonna be all out hauling ass because naturally I gotta play catch up, I gotta chase. So it's about just having anticipation and just learning the game. But like you said, man, splitting those backs out, like Arian Foster, like to me, he was just as great as Christian McCaffrey. I watched him do amazing things when he was here as a running back. Just putting a guy like that being the difference maker. Now you look at use checking with the 49ers, what they do with him as a fullback. It's almost like cheating sometimes, because the defense don't take that guy into account sometimes.
Yep, 100%.
Yeah. What do you think your biggest matchup in your 15 years of playing? What was like your favorite, biggest competition type deal?
When I tell anybody this, any great wide receiver with a quarterback.
Yep.
If he didn't have a quarterback, I didn't
Then
care.
it's right. That's
because
a
the
very
ball ain't
valid
going to be
point.
on time. He probably not going to be making the first read. His eyes probably going to be down. Now, if you got a top-notch receiver with a good quarterback, it can
So
be a
name
long day.
one. Name one. Or your top 3.
My top 3, it'll be Chad Johnson because he made me the player I am today. With him and Carson Palmer in practice, Andre Johnson, and I say Steve Smith, just because like the top guys, no matter how good you are, what you're getting paid, there's no way you're not going to throw him the ball 10 times a game.
Right.
Yep.
So you have to live with it. And then here when I was out in Houston, the Colts had Andrew Luck. They got lucky again. Peyton Manning leaves town. All of a sudden, Andrew Luck comes to town. And they got T.Y. Hilton over there. So, look at a guy like T.Y. who wasn't big in stature, but he's a crafty guy, great hand-eye coordination. He can run really well. So me and him had a lot of great matchup battles, because obviously they're in our division. We play twice a year. So things like that, just some of the matchups I remember. Derek Mason in Baltimore when I was young. Braylon Edwards, who was a little older than me, but he was in Cleveland. It was about just going up against all those guys, man. Anquan Bolden, Larry Fitzgerald. Man, you just go down the list. I had a chance. I feel like I played in the golden era of receivers, man. So many of those guys are going to be Hall of Famers.
Yeah, a lot of Hall of Famers.
A lot of jackets in that group.
I know he asked, Pat, Donta this. Who's easier to cover? Is it a shorter, shiftier guy, or is it the bigger, Megatron type deal? Who's
I can't
What's
believe
it?
I left Megatron off, man. I'll never forget. He was a rookie, and they had him and Roy Williams there. And
Oh
first
gosh.
play of the game, we go line up in press, and I was against Roy Williams. And you know how receivers, you don't know if a receiver's serious or not, but you always locked in. He said, "Man, we don't even have to do nothing this play." I'm like, "What?" He said, "Just watch this." So he gave me a little outside release, and it was like a half-ass release. And I looked up. By the time I looked up, they just throwing the go ball on Leon Hall with Calvin Johnson. That's when I knew that guy was going to be special.
Yeah. Hey, we can take this play off. Let's not get too tired. We're going to throw a touchdown on the other side of the field.
Like, man, it's just those guys. Like, I would always rather have a bigger, shifty guy because, I'm right at 5'11", 6 foot. And I know no matter how big those guys are, I can always beat you to the spot. And that's what football
Yep.
is all about. Like, you may beat me on an in cut route, but if I can beat you to where the ball is going, I still have a chance. When you have those shorter and quick, shifty guys, if you beat most of the time, those guys are gone. And if you got a good quarterback, he's putting it on them right now. He's not waiting to see if he's open. It's coming
Right.
right now. So it was always these short, shifty guys, man. Like we had Antonio Chapman when I was there in the league. Man, that guy was so shifty, taught me a lot in practice. But also now you got Wes Welker in New England, who was just
Yep.
one of a kind. I never seen a guy that could
Catch
cut
hands on them,
off the same foot. He's breaking left. He's cutting off his left foot or his right foot. It was crazy.
Yep.
Then you got Edelman coming right in behind him. So it was always guys I would say like that, that you really got to lock in and hone on your technique. Doug Baldwin up in
Oh
Seattle.
yeah.
He was a
Yep.
guy with great first step. He had that little in and out shimmy move. He would give you that where you studying film all day trying to get a beat on that. Or a guy like Devontae Adams, who's a taller guy, but he has the same type of quickness. And there's a lot of those guys that, probably have a basketball background and things like that. To where you look at defensive linemen now, all the moves that they're doing are basically like basketball moves.
Basketball, 100%. Piggyback on that. Who's the hardest quarterback you had to face or game plan against?
Tom Brady.
Okay,
Got the
that's
ball out.
Tom
Got the
kind
Brady.
of
ball
what I
out quick
figured.
on time.
Tom Brady because he knows everything. Like, Peyton Manning and Drew Brees are right up there with him. But it's like Tom Brady, man, it's like whatever you threw at the guy, he had an answer for it, which was crazy. It's like he knew who was coming, who knew who was. It didn't matter. You can be all the guys in the line of scrimmage, and Joseph is not coming. This guy's not coming. You're like, damn, how did he know this? Like, and every matchup, there's times I go up to New England, I wouldn't get 2 or 3 balls, but he would just go to he would pick his matchup. That's what he was all about. And it's how you learn football with him is all about moving the sticks, keeping the sticks going. When I have an opportunity, I'm going to take the shot. When I get in the red zone, I definitely want points. So the more that you can understand with those guys, it just heighten my game. You got Drew Brees, everything's going to be when he hit that back foot, the ball's coming out. Peyton Manning, he like his guys. My wide receivers don't motion much. They stay on the left and the right. I want to see the whole picture all the time. So
Don't
it was just
confuse me.
about different guys.
I want to see the picture. Yo.
I want to see the picture. And then you got a guy like Phillip Rivers. He just gonna chunk it 50 times. He don't care.
Yeah, he's doing that on and off the field.
No question, man. I see he's down there coaching, man. And a guy like him who would always be a great coach because you look at a guy like him when he came in.
I was talking about how many kids he has.
Oh my God, he loaded that bus up, didn't he? He loaded that bus up, man.
He's chunking it deep, man, all the time.
Yeah, man. It was great competing against him because he's a trash talker, man. He's
yeah.
like, I guess Baker Mayfield would be like him, like when he's out on the field, just competing against a guy like that. I remember, like, it's gonna be a shootout. If he's down 30 points, you best believe the second half he's coming, and he's spreading the ball around. It's coming outside on it, but it got some steam on it. Andrew Luck being in the division, Andrew Luck was the same guy. You get an interception on him, you best believe he's gonna make the tackle. Like, so
with
it's
vengeance.
just, man, just looking at all these quarterbacks, Big Ben in Pittsburgh. You think you got this guy wrapped up in sack? He's throwing you off like a rag doll. Aaron Rodgers. You don't want to play Aaron Rodgers on perfect conditions indoors because he's going to shred you apart if you're playing man coverage all day. So it's about just knowing, what these guys like as quarterbacks, and you have to try to affect those guys also. But Peyton Manning and Tom Brady is right at the top of that list. My everybody in my family knew no matter what the lead was, even when the Falcons had that lead, everybody in the house knew that they were coming back.
We don't talk about that on this podcast.
Because it's about clock management. He knew how much time he had to get this done, all the way down to I need 7 seconds, 8 seconds to get this play off, and we have time to spike the ball and still have a chance at a field goal. You know, he knew exactly how many possessions he's going to have that game, what it take to come back, just understanding everything about the game. You know, in football, 2 minute is probably one of the most important things. You know, before the half, he's trying to get points. You know,
Right.
when they get the ball at the end, he's going to manage that clock down to the T. There's no panicking in him. He understands everything. So just going up a guy like that, man, it's always a chess match. And you understand and you appreciate just, you know, being on the same field with a guy like that.
Dude, so it seems like, I mean, a lot of people, obviously, as they get older in their career, like have a different preparation process. But it seems like you picked it up in your rookie contract. You started to prepare to study all the different things that DBs need to study. Like, was there a big thing that changed from your 20s to your 30s when you might not have been quite as athletic, quite as fast, quite as explosive? Like, how did your preparation change as you aged, or was it still the same?
I needed to know everything, man. I needed to know everything possible. You had to have short-term memory as a defensive back, but also you had to have a memory of what possibly can come down the road. And one of those moments was like, even to this day, Sean Payton. Sean Payton getting into go-to moment is move the pocket. He's moving the pocket on you, whether it's sprint out, you know, roll out pass or whatever it's going to be. And that's when the Texans coaching staff kind of really looked and was like, man, this guy knows what he's talking about. You know, they would always do that Jerry Rice motion, and I got beat on it in Cincinnati. You know, when it was go to crunch time, and we were playing. It was fourth down here in Houston. They was on like the 4-yard line, and Wade Phillips, you know, he's a big man guy, and he called man coverage. And as soon as he called man coverage, I looked right to the sideline and I called a timeout myself. And they all they all raced. What are you doing? What are you? I sprinted to the sideline and I say, Coach, we got to show a man coverage, but let's play cover two. It was a cover two that we had. Looked like man. Everybody, if the guy motions over, you motion with him. You know, the outside guy, if it's a linebacker or not, he knew the drop for cover two. So
Yep.
we went in there, we changed the call. And I said, I know exactly what he's doing. He's going to go to sprint out. He's going to have, you know, that little Jerry Rice motion behind. Lance
Yep.
Moore shooting right to the flats. And as soon as they came out, they had gave us the look. I looked at Kareem Jackson. I said, we got him. And he came out, rolled out. J.J. Watt sitting right there, made him pull it up, batted it down. And that's when the coaching staff started to believe in, like, man, this guy actually is putting in time and understanding it. And, you know, he has a memory to where when you get in the game, you have to know those certain situations. Even when I'm watching it on the couch now, I can call it out before it kind of happens, you know, because, you know, coaches, you know, defenders get that thing. Defenders are not smart, but if you pay attention, like I watch teams sit there and run the same play 3-4 times in a row by
Oh
just
yeah.
size, you know.
Yep.
But you know, a lot of times they get on the ball fast. Guys don't have time to look. It's certain things that I'm looking at, you know, whether receiver outside leg up, whether he's looking in to set the edge on the block because he want to be turned in to get that defensive end a linebacker. He got a cut split on the backside. He's probably trying to get over the field. So if he has a cut split on the backside, I have to understand my guy on the front side either running a go ball or, you know, a post route or something. He's not going to be running over there. So just the more you understand that, you got all 5 guys inside the numbers, it's probably going to be crossing routes or something like that. So it's about just understanding what you're getting. And now when you see it, just believing it.
Yep. Damn, I'm getting like a freaking full on DB
Oh,
tutorial today.
I
Let's
know.
go.
It's awesome. It's awesome.
Well, what type of stuff are you up to now? Like, what are your passion projects? Obviously, you have some kids and all that stuff. But
I'm doing
what
a little
makes John?
podcast with the Texans, man, and I coach middle school football this year, and I'm training some combine guys here, and I've coached 707 the past few years, and like we talked about earlier, I'm trying to get into coaching, and my son is a high school senior. He has looks, so I just wanted to make sure, you know, go on some of the visits with him, make sure everything is going on right with him throughout the recruiting process. He's been locked in each and every week, and my daughter's a softball player. That's her number one sport. So man, spending a lot of time on the softball field on the weekends, you know, 10, 11, 12 games in the weekend. So I'm just enjoying that process right now. But at the same time, you know, we always trying to find that next second act, something that we can actually find joy in. And like you guys have mentioned, my joy, you know, everybody's told me the same thing, man. You're going to be a coach or you're going to do this. And that's something that I truly enjoy, you know, just going out there. That's another way to compete and still be a part of the game and giving back
Yeah.
also.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm sure you're obviously a great dad, but you missed a lot of time while you were playing. 15 years in the NFL, that's a big part of your kids' lives. So kind of being present and being back now to make up for some of those memories is huge. But you are going to have several All Pro, Pro Bowl defensive backs that you're going to coach here in the near future, I would imagine.
Man, I'm looking forward to it, man. You know, because football is an ultimate team sport. You need all guys to
Oh
buy,
yeah.
need all 11 guys. You know, you need guys to be sharp, guys to be smart. But at the same time, those guys need, you know, I wouldn't say a father presence, but someone that's been there before, someone that understands them, someone that's able to translate to them, no matter what your background is, where you came from. You know, it doesn't matter when you're inside that locker room. It's all about, you know, can you touch the guy? Can you get through to that guy? And I've been able to, you know, throughout my career, you know, be that guy. No matter where he's from, what his skill set is, what position, to be honest, you know, offensive lineman, fullbacks, or whatever it is, you know, I've been a guy that can go in and talk to these guys and kind of get through them and, you know, fill them out and see, because I understand it's a long year. You got people pulling at you left and right. You got expectations. It's just a lot, man, being a national football league player. And at the same time, you always want that outlet, someone that you can go to and talk to and trust, but at the same time, able to push you and get the best out of you at the same time.
I remember 2018 when we played you guys in Houston when I was with Buffalo. You jumped hitch on the backside, Nate Peterman, and took it back to the crib. And I
Hey.
remember going up to you after the game. And you're like, "My bad, dog. I knew it was coming, though. I couldn't help myself."
He showed, and you know what's funny about that? That's like when we played Tennessee, I made a pick against Tennessee in college. And people was like, man, you jumped their route. You jumped their route. I was like, well, I did jump it. But I remember the last time on third down, they had two running up the seam and ran an out route. And that out route was open. And I knew Clausen was going to come right back to it because it was open. And the very
Yep.
next time he came right to it, I already had the beat on. As soon as he took his hand off the ball, I was gone. And Peterman, that time, he ran a hitch and we was in cover 4.
Mhm.
And that time we switched to coverage and we ran a blitz. And I knew if I
Yep.
showed him that I was playing like cover 4, he was going to throw that hitch. So I showed off coverage, you know, and I just took 2 slight little inch shuffles, you know, because a quarterback can't tell from his distance. You just got to show him the same look a little bit. And once he
Yep.
let that ball go, I already knew I had the trap set. And man, you know, it's a thing of beauty, right call, being at the right place at the right time.
You done did it. You did it a lot, dude.
Yeah.
So obviously we're a Gamecock podcast. So what would you say was like the lasting impact of what Carolina was on your career and your life?
Man, before we talk about that, I'm a Texas guy, so just imagine the feeling, me walking in the stadium last week to my son's game, and everybody's like, "Man, you guys on the road, 31 to oh my God, I don't." But that's all we're gonna leave. We're gonna leave it right there.
Yeah.
I
No, yeah,
know.
that's in the past. Leave it back there. Yeah.
We're gonna leave that there, man. But man, Carolina's a one in a lifetime chance, man. Just going down there, being a part of the atmosphere. You know what it's like, man, to see Cocky run out there 2001. Everybody on that team is a close knit community. They love football in that city. Great school, academic wise, and all those things. So it molded me to be the man I am. I got some of my best memories from down there. You know, being a Gamecock, I'm a proud Gamecock. You know, we have a Gamecock club here, which I haven't had much time to get with those guys to watch the games here in Houston. But it's a lot of us out here in Houston. So man, just being, watching you guys grow up also, you the all time guy, man. Over there, Garcia. So it's like just being able to watch you guys, man. So I'm gonna give you guys your flowers too, man. It's just about we all brothers at the end of the day. We all have respect for one another. Whether you played however many years in the NFL, like when I see him, me and him talked every time. I came across him. Because I wanted to let him know he was a brother of mine. We played the same way. And hey, I know the grind that you went through to get here, and I wanted to show you your respect. And no different than you, I know what it takes to go out there and be a signal call behind that signal, because Lou Holtz gave everybody a chance in practice when we had Dondrell Pinkins and Blake and all those guys at quarterback. Everybody was, about the quarterback. So he stopped practice one day and said, if you want a chance to be a quarterback, here your chance go. And it was a true show.
I can imagine.
So man, just being able to play for Spurrier, Lou Holtz, man, and that guy name just hit my head. It was Dave Roberts.
Dave Roberts, okay, yeah.
It was Dave Roberts who recruited me. It just hit my head just now.
That's crazy. It's been over an hour, and it just that's awesome.
It was Dave Roberts, man. So just all those guys, man, and just being a part of that, being in South Carolina, you either on this side or that side, or the other side, man. But it's a beautiful feeling to be a Gamecock. You can wear it proud down there. And anytime I have a chance to rep those guys, man, I'm going to rep it, man. A lot of guys did a lot of great things out of there. I left a guy off that I enjoy playing with also, Jared Cook. He cried about moving to tight end. He came in as a 4-star Harvard guy, wide receiver. Steve Spurrier told him he was moving to tight end. He cried. I never forget it. the best thing ever happened to that kid, you know?
No doubt about it.
Just the memories you get, man. So now I'm just thinking about it, man. If I can do it over again, South Carolina will be my school of choice. I'll take the same exact path, same exact route, because I got lifelong memories for those guys, and I'm blessed to be a Gamecock.
You're one of the best to ever do it.
I would say I'd probably do the same thing, but I'd change maybe a few things here and there.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Trust me, I'm with you.
As they say, poo-poo happens sometimes, you know?
Hey, man, that's what we all go through, man. We live and learn, and, man, we look back on it. You know, thankfully, we can all look back and laugh and, you know, share these memories now
No doubt.
of being a Gamecock. But, man, it's one of a kind coming out that tunnel down there.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate you taking the time today and chatting with us. And, man, I might be sending my son. I don't think he's going to be a DB, but if he comes and trains under you, he might have a chance.
Hey, man, send him on, man. I enjoy doing it. I appreciate you guys for having me on, man. I watch you guys all the time. You know, like you mentioned, John Abraham. It's a disgrace that guy's not in the Hall of Fame right now. You know,
no, I 100% agree.
You match his career with anybody out there, he's at the top. You know, so every time I have a chance to watch you guys, man, it's a pleasure to watch you guys. You guys are doing great things, and I'm glad to be, you know, on this show and share my experience.
Hi, whoever's back. Who is that?
Yeah, hey, I see you. I say, trust me, man.
Come say hi. Sneak in there.
How you doing?
Hey.
How you doing? Nothing like the girls, man. I got 3 boys and 1 girl, so I know you're feeling. And hey, mine go all the way from 22. I got a 17-year-old son, 11-year-old daughter, and I got a 5-year-old son. So,
yeah,
they keep us young. That's for dang sure.
No doubt.
And the gray hairs.
Yeah, man, I'm getting a little bit. I try to shave mine down and hide it a little bit. You know. Yeah, he going for the Clemson. He going for the Tannehill look over there, man.
Don't let him hear you say that. He'll text me and talking all sorts of crazy shit.
Awesome. Well, appreciate you jumping on with us, and thanks for just being a Gamecock and sharing your wisdom, and then obviously what you're going to do, passing the torch like you always have. It's been cool to experience.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you guys for having me on, man. Keep doing big things.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. See you, man.
No doubt.